When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This content may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion advised.
I went to bed thinking already that this was not going to end well, but I would never expect it to end as badly as it did.
I just remember having this really dreadful feeling that I just really didn't want to go outside.
Immediately, one of my friends told me they knew exactly who he was.
He glanced at the window, only to see a man staring right back at him.
From Killer Podcasts, true tales of horror, bizarre happenings, unexplainable events. This is Disturbed. Hello and welcome back to the show. This week we're bringing you 4 stories that will make you shiver. So sit back, listen closely, and dive into the horror. First, a story narrated by Kyra Cornett from Reddit user OKCow5075. Our neighbor was more than just nosy.
This happened to my family back in 2017. At the time, it was absolutely terrifying. But now, after a few drinks at social gatherings, it's one of those stories I tell just to see people's reactions. I was 18, in my first year of college, still living at home with my parents and my 14-year-old brother. My sleep schedule was a disaster. I'd regularly be up until 4 a.m., studying or working on papers. The first sign that something was off was a set of men's footprints in the fresh snow, leading up right to the window where I usually sat late at night. My dad immediately knew they weren't his, as the snow had fallen overnight. Then, a couple weeks later, we discovered that the screen to the basement window had been ripped off and neatly placed beside it. The window, thankfully, was locked from the inside. I left town the week before Christmas to visit my boyfriend's family. When I got back, everyone at home was acting weird as hell. I figured it was just because they didn't love the idea of me staying overnight at my boyfriend's house. But then I noticed my dad had tied pop cans to the inside of the main doors. When I asked him about it, he gave me this serious look, like he really didn't want to tell me something. After a little pressing, he finally caved and told me what had happened. While I was away, my brother had asked to sleep in my room, since my room had a TV. One night, around 1 a.m., he was watching Seinfeld when he heard a noise outside. He glanced at the window, only to see a man staring right back at him. To emphasize how insane this was, my bedroom was on the second floor. The only way to reach that window was by climbing 12 feet or so onto the slanted roof below. Trying to stay collected, my brother slipped out of my room into my parents' bedroom. He calmly notified my dad, "There's a man outside on the roof." My dad, half asleep, assumed he was just full of shit and heard the house creak, but he got up anyway, walked into my room and looked out of the window. At first, my dad saw nothing, but when he leaned out further to check the roof, there, crouched just to the right, a man was squatting and staring directly at him. My dad screamed a string of profanities, grabbed his baseball bat, and bolted for the back door. My dad couldn't have jumped on the roof himself, as the lowest point of the window was probably about 5 feet from the floor and was too small for him to fit through. By the time he got outside, the man was already gone. My dad ran down the street looking for him, but never found him. The police were called, but nothing ever came of it. And here's the most infuriating part. We knew there was a registered sex offender living just 2 doors down. His previous crimes were against girls my age. He'd approached teenage girls in public parks, exposing himself. The cops went to his house at 1:30 in the morning, knocked repeatedly, and shouted, "Police, open up!" But when he didn't answer, they shrugged and said there was nothing more they could do. His and his wife's vehicles were both in their driveway. For the rest of the time my family lived in that house, we had to live with the sickening knowledge that our neighbor was probably watching me for who knows how long. I didn't often shut my curtains, being on the second floor. I'm an extremely heavy sleeper as well, and may not have heard any sounds outside. To this day, I have to wonder, what could have happened had my brother not noticed?
Next, we have a voicemail from Disturbed listener Junior. We love having our listeners' voices on the show. If you'd like to tell your own true scary experience, go to hotline.disturbedpodcast.com, and you just might hear it on the podcast. Thanks to everyone who sent in a voicemail, and keep 'em coming. When fun in the sun is overshadowed by fear.
I just wanted to start off by saying that I really enjoy your guys' show. I really enjoy the way you guys do the audio and just the way you guys have everything set up. It really does make my day a little bit better, make my drives easier, make my long days at work a little bit more enjoyable. So I really do appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys. Over the past month or so, I've probably listened to over half the episodes. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan. I've been thinking about sharing my story for a while now. And I finally decided that I would like to share it, and you guys were saying you need more recording, so why not, I thought. So this story takes place in Portland, Oregon. I'm from a small town originally, so a little different setting than what I'm used to. And this story was probably about 7 years ago. At the time, my brother was sick, so we were constantly in and out of the hospital, and the town that I lived in, my hometown, was about 2.5 hours away from Portland, and I was in school at the time as well. I was pretty young. We were constantly doing that drive, constantly in hotels down there for my brother, or constantly at the hospital. This particular time, we were staying at this hotel, and this hotel is right off of the highway. So you're going on the highway, and then it's literally just a turn, and the turn goes straight into the parking lot. And then it's kind of a long parking lot, and then there's another entrance and exit to the parking lot that just goes right back onto the main highway. I want to say I was about 10, 11 years old, so I was pretty young. And I'd always been like a paranoid person. Even now, I'm always very cautious of my surroundings and looking what's around me. And so this time is no different. We're at this hotel, and this is probably 3 p.m. during the middle of the day, and my brother was, allowed to leave the hospital for a while, so him, my mom, and myself, we were all hanging out by the pool. And my brother wasn't in the pool. He was just off to the side, and so was my mom. So I was the only one in the pool. And I had noticed that when I was in the pool that I could see onto the highway quite a bit. And you could see the lanes that go right and left. and I had seen this car kind of go back and forth a couple of times. I didn't really think too much of it. Maybe he's making a wrong turn. And, I'm with my mom and my brother at the time, so I'm not worried or anything. I'm just kind of notice it. We're playing in the pool for a little bit longer, and I keep noticing this car going back and forth. And I kind of pointed out to my brother, I say something, and he's like, yeah, that is a little bit odd. You can also see the pool from the highway. It's kind of like right in this perfect spot where you can see the pool, and this is an outside pool as well, so it's pretty open. So we go back inside, and we had to leave here soon to go back to the hospital, and then we were going to spend the night there and then head home the next morning. So we had packed up from the pool, and I was just drying off and getting dressed because, I was just in shorts, and my mom and my brother already had all of their stuff packed up. I bring some stuff out, and so does my mom and brother, and then we're all headed back up just to grab our keys and then check out of the hotel. And my mom and my brother were just finishing up, and they were like, hey, we forgot a couple of things. Do you think you could grab those and put them in the car? Because my brother is sick, and at the time, my mom is pregnant. So I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm the only one who's perfectly fine. So I go out to the car, and I just remember having this really dreadful feeling. I just really didn't want to go outside and go put those items in the car. So I'm going, but I'm going a little slow. I don't really want to go put these items in the car, and, I'm a little scared, like I had said. And I get out to the parking lot, and you can see the front entrance from the highway as well. That's important as well. And so I walk out, and I see that same car that was going back and forth on the highway. I see that same car pulls into the parking lot super, super fast. And I hadn't even made it to the car to put this box of things away yet. I'm holding a box, and I'm walking, and I just get down the stairs, and this car just slams on his brakes. Like how when you see a car, when they slam their brakes and it kind of jolts forward because they hit the brakes so hard. And he just says to me, he goes, do you need a ride? And I'm pretty freaked out because I'd seen this car going back and forth. So I was very obviously skeptical because why does he think I need a ride? I was headed to my car. I had a box of stuff with me. I was about 10, 11 years old. And this is like a 35-year-old man. And I'm like, no, why do you think I need a ride? And he goes, oh, you just look like you need a ride. Do you need a ride? And I'm just like, no, I'm okay. Please leave me alone. And he's like, no, I think you need a ride. And I'm like, excuse me? And he goes, yeah, get in. You need a ride. Get in. And I'm like, what? Because I'm hard of hearing as well. I wasn't sure if I was hearing that right. He's like, no, you're going to get in. You need a ride. You have to get in. And he starts opening his car door. So where I can hear the click of the door handle. And, I can kind of see it open, but just a tad bit. And right as that happens, my brother comes from behind me, and he is leaving the hotel as well. And he was at the top of the stairs. And he goes, who is that? Who is that? And he's yelling at me. And I turn around to see my brother, and I'm like, I don't know. And as soon as I say that, this guy peels out of the parking lot. I'm talking 30, 40 miles an hour onto the highway without looking at all. And I really do think that my brother saved my life then. And me being hesitant and walking slow, I think also helped in that as well.
You're listening to Disturbed. We'll be right back. Something isn't right. You feel it. The weight, the silence, like a phantom pulling you down at work, whispering that this is as far as you'll go. You followed the rules. I worked hard, but the raise, the promotion, gone. Like a shadow that disappears in the dark. Like a spirit bound to an abandoned house, you circle the same halls, speak the same words, watch others move on while you stay behind. That's where today's sponsor, Strawberry.me Career Coaching, comes in. Reveal the unseen forces keeping you stuck, help you create a strategy to break free, and keep you accountable because you can't exercise a demon on accident. Go to strawberry.me/disturbed and claim your $50 credit. Because the most terrifying thing isn't ghosts. It's realizing you're the one who's disappeared.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, onabotulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Welcome back to the podcast. Our next story is from Reddit user FamProbs Looking at This, about how swiping can turn into stalking. Narrated by Hannah Robertson.
In 2022, I got bored and decided to try out Tinder for the first time. I'd so far had no luck finding any potential long-term partners, so I thought, hey, I'm 18 now, no harm in trying it. I set up my profile and put up several pictures, including one of me standing in front of my old car. It had no identifying features visible though, so it couldn't be recognised. After a few awkward conversations with various guys, I matched with a young man called Liam, who said he was 21. Liam genuinely loved to talk to me, but after speaking for a few days, he started asking me very sexual and dark questions. He also started telling me all about BDSM and how he'd like to do that with me, which made me feel uncomfortable. It's just not my thing, and I didn't like that he was describing it to me against my wishes. I had a gut feeling that something was off, so I blocked him. Immediately after I blocked him, I started getting friend and follower requests from Liam on various accounts. He even tried to follow me on accounts I had which were completely anonymous. But here's where it got really creepy. I figured out he'd been following my anonymous TikTok account for 6 months, before we matched on Tinder. I messaged him and begged him to leave me alone, telling him he was making me uncomfortable. He did not stop. He sent me full registration details for my old car and told me he knew what street I lived on. He said he was trying his hardest not to break into my house and get me. He told me he'd seen me on the street and resisted the urge to snog and touch me. He listed places he'd seen me over the last few months, then said if I didn't accept him, he'd make me accept him. This majorly freaked me out. I blocked him on everything and put his details on my Instagram story to see if my friends knew anything about him. Immediately, one of my friends told me they knew exactly who he was. He'd been chased out of a different town for being touchy-feely with underage girls and college students. He'd been kicked out of college due to this and was facing rape charges. His family had kicked him out of his home, so he was sleeping rough. He was keeping a low profile, as whenever he was seen by someone who vaguely knew him, he was beaten up. At the time, I didn't take any legal action against him, but just 2 weeks later, he was run out of my town for sexually harassing an underage girl. Last I heard, he moved on to a larger city, but I've not heard what's happened with his rape charge. That was the last time I ever used Tinder. That experience was enough.
Our final story is narrated by Kat Carter. Think you've had a bad roommate? Michelle Love 1979 says,
hold my beer.
So I left one bad roommate situation just to get into a way worse one that almost ended my life. Here it goes. 3 years ago, I moved in with a girl in her 20s named Steph, whose mother owned the house and was the landlady. Steph seemed nice at first, but this would be very short-lived. Within 5 days, she would try to kill me. I'm on disability, and Steph just didn't want to work. So we spent the whole first day hanging out together, and I even bought us pizza and wings for dinner. We talked all night, and I really got to know her. She opened up to me immediately, as most people do. She shared her life story, including that she's an undiagnosed schizophrenic, which of course made me a little worried. She also told me about her parents, their divorce, her upbringing, how she doesn't really like her mother, and how she got into drugs. We kind of bonded over that last one, as I'm a recovered drug addict myself. Then she told me something disturbing. When she was in her teens, her mom asked her to burn down their house so they could collect the insurance. She told me that she did it and was excited by it until afterwards when she realized that she'd lost all of her stuff. And yes, her mom did get away with all of this and collected the insurance money. So after a long day of getting to know this girl, I called it a night. I went to bed thinking already that this was not going to end well, but I would never expect it to end as badly as it did. The next day, when I got up, Steph wasn't home and she didn't come back until the following day, when she had a guy with her whom she was messing around with. I didn't hang out with them. I just stayed in my room that night because they were using meth, which is the worst drug for schizophrenic people to be on, as it can make you hallucinate and become paranoid. So that was red flag number 3. Like I said, I just stayed in my bedroom and ignored them. The next day came, and I had a question for her, so in the afternoon I knocked on her bedroom door, but she wasn't home, so I had a peaceful, quiet day to myself. When I heard the front door open, I figured I'd let her come in and get settled and then go talk to her. I waited about half an hour, then went and knocked on her bedroom door. No one answered, even though the music was on. It wasn't on earlier when I had knocked, so I knew she was in there. I could hear her dog in the room whining. I figured she probably left again and just forgot to turn off the music. I'd let her dog out when she wasn't home the second night, so I figured she'd want me to bring him out again since he was whining. Here's where everything started going downhill. The door was locked, which meant that she was in there, but she wasn't answering, and the dog was still whining. I didn't know what was going on, so I just went back to my bedroom. A few hours later, I was standing in the kitchen, still thinking the whole situation was weird, when she and 2 guys walked in the door. I was very confused, but said hello and spent a few minutes talking to them. Then I went to my bedroom because she had been doing drugs with one of the guys before. After the guys left, she knocked on my door, and as we were talking, I asked what was up with her door being locked and having the music on. She said she didn't know what I was talking about, and that her door wasn't locked and she wasn't home. She said she hadn't been home for 2 days. I told her that earlier I knocked on her door because I heard someone come in through the front door and heard her music on. I also told her that her dog was whining. And this is where it got really bad. We then realized that it was the guy she'd been hooking up with who came into the house. It's terrifying just thinking what that guy was capable of, and the fact that I didn't know he was there. She then started talking about killing people. It didn't help that she was high and had been high for days, on top of being a paranoid schizophrenic. I have a lot of trauma, so as a trauma response, I'm luckily very good in bad situations. So then she told me that she thought about killing her last roommate. I knew to stay calm. She asked me if I knew her 2 guy friends. I told her no and reminded her that I just moved an hour and a half away from everyone I knew. She started pacing, going back and forth, from her bedroom to mine. And suddenly, she came back into my room with a huge hunting knife. She was playing with it as she told me that she didn't believe me and that I had 5 minutes to get the guy she'd been hooking up with here. She didn't have a phone of her own. I told her calmly that I really don't know him, but I would contact him if she gave me his Facebook profile. She then accused me of putting cameras in the house to watch her because I knew her 2 guy friends and I was setting her up with them so that they could come in the middle of the night to torture and kill her. I tried to assure her that none of this was true and reminded her that I was new to the area. She said that I also planted a book in her room that was about torture so that she would know what they were going to do. That's when she lunged at me with the knife. Luckily, I was standing right next to my nightstand that had my mace on top of it, and I grabbed it just in time and pointed it at her. She stopped and laughed and then told me to go ahead and mace her. It wouldn't stop her from killing me. But she did back off, and when she left my bedroom, I locked my door. She continued to pace in the hall from her bedroom to mine, and she kept telling me that I had 5 minutes to get that guy there. I kept trying to reassure her that what she thought wasn't true at all, but she just got angrier and angrier. She told me if I called the police, she would kick in my bedroom door and kill me before they even got in the house. Then I smelled gas. She was dousing the entire house. After she was done, she told me I had 5 minutes to get that guy there or she would set the house on fire with me in it. I moved my bed away from the window to jump out the window, but she heard me move the bed and told me if I jumped out the window, she'd hear me and would be right there to kill me. I told her that she'd be hurting her mom if she lit the house on fire, and she said she was going to blame it on the only other person in the house, me. Then all of a sudden, all the smoke detectors in the house were going off because they were all synced with each other. I had to make a decision about which way I wanted to die, because I truly believed that I was about to die. I chose to stay in the house, hoping I would die from the smoke inhalation. But if I was going to die, Steph's mother needed to know what a psychopath her daughter was. Knowing that Steph could hear me if I made a phone call, I texted her mom, telling her that her daughter was truly insane and that she was setting the house on fire. I went through the next 5 agonizing minutes praying as the smell of smoke became stronger. All of a sudden, I heard a man's voice saying my name from the other side of the door. It was a police officer. Thankfully, Steph's mom had called them, and the only reason Steph didn't kick in the door and kill me was because she was outside smoking when they showed up. I finally broke down crying now that I knew I was safe. The whole situation lasted a few hours, and I didn't know how I stayed so calm while thinking I was going to die. The police took my statement and took Steph to the psych ward. A few days later, the police gave me a document stating that Steph would not be able to purchase guns when she got out of the psych ward. 2 weeks later, I moved back to my hometown. I blocked Steph and her mother, so thankfully, I never heard from them again.
Want more Disturbed? Check out our Patreon for member-exclusive content, early merch access, and other cool perks. I'm your host, Doug Bailey, and this has been Disturbed, a production of Killer Podcasts and part of the Evergreen Network. For more paranormal and true crime shows, visit killerpodcasts.com. Follow our social channels at Disturbed Podcast on Instagram or Disturbed_pod on Twitter. If you enjoyed the show, please consider subscribing and reviewing on your favorite listening platform. Share your own true horror story at disturbedpodcast.com. Music by Epidemic Sound and by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Our producer is Elizabeth Flood. Our audio engineers are Nathan Corson and Will Pritz. Executive producers Bridget Coyne and Noah Fouts. Until next time, stay safe out there.